All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always up for a good deep dive.
Well, today we're going deep on something I think we all hear about a lot, cholesterol.
Yep.
But we're going way beyond just good and bad,
Yeah, it's a topic that can get oversimplified.
big time. And honestly, until I read through this research excerpt, I had some pretty basic ideas about it.
Right. It seems straightforward at first.
But then you start to peel back the layers. It's fascinating. Like, did you know cholesterol is actually involved in how our bodies make vitamin D?
It's true. It's a key ingredient in that whole process, using sunlight.
See, this is what I love about these deep dives. Always something new to learn.
Exactly. And with cholesterol, there's so much more to it than just keeping an eye on your heart.
Okay, so let's rewind a sec. I think most people have heard that cholesterol is bad. Too much of it can clog your arteries, lead to heart problems, all that.
Right. And that's definitely a valid concern. Heart health is hugely important. But cholesterol itself isn't inherently bad. Our bodies need it.
Hold on, so if it's not all bad, how do we make sense of that?
Think of it this way. Cholesterol is a type of fat, and like any fat, it's essential for certain bodily functions.
So it's like, we need some fat, but it's about the type of fat and how much.
Exactly. And when it comes to cholesterol, there are different types, each with its own role. We've got the famous LDL, often called the bad cholesterol.
Right, the one we're always told to keep low.
Yeah. And then there's HDL, the good cholesterol. But it gets even more interesting than that. Your research here actually talks about how the size and density of those LDL particles matter a lot.
Wait, so it's not just about the amount of LDL, but the kind of LDL.
Precisely. Smaller, denser LDL particles are the troublemakers. They're more likely to get stuck in our arteries and contribute to plaque buildup.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. So even if your overall LDL number isn't super high, you could still have these dense particles causing issues.
That's right. It's a level of detail most people aren't aware of. It highlights why just looking at that single number on a cholesterol test might not tell the whole story.
That makes a lot of sense. So if we're looking at a cholesterol lab report, how do we even start to make sense of all those numbers and letters?
Well, let's break it down. We've got total cholesterol, which is like a big picture number.
Yeah.
Ideally, that should be under 200 milligrams per deciliter. Then there's LDL, which we want to keep below 100.
All right. Keeping track so far. Total under 200, LDL under 100. What about the good HDL?
We want that one higher. Ideally, 40 milligrams per deciliter or higher for men and 50 or higher for women. These are just general guidelines, though.
I was just thinking, these numbers seem pretty specific. Are they realistic for everyone? Like, what about people with different body types or genetics or just individual variations?
You bring up a great point, and thankfully your research mentions that those targets can vary from person to person. Factors like age, other health conditions you might have, and especially family history all play a role.
So someone with a family history of high cholesterol might have different goals than someone without that genetic predisposition.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. And that's why it's crucial to talk to your doctor about your cholesterol numbers. They can help you understand what's normal for you based on your individual context.
So much more goes into it than I realized.
Definitely.
Okay, we've got those baseline numbers sorted. But now I'm curious, what can we actually DO about our cholesterol levels? I know diet gets talked about a lot, but is that the whole picture?
Well, diet is a big factor, no doubt. But there's a lot more to it than just cutting out fat altogether, like we talked about earlier. Not all fats are created equal.
Right, we need some fats to function properly.
Exactly. So before we get into specific dietary tips, maybe we should clarify the different types of fats and how they impact cholesterol levels.
All right, I'm ready to learn more about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to fats and cholesterol.
Great. We'll get into all that right after a quick break.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle those dietary fats. I know a lot of people probably think all fat is bad when it comes to cholesterol.
Right. There's definitely a lot of confusion around fat, but like we mentioned earlier, our bodies actually need some fat to function.
So it's not about eliminating fat completely. It's more about choosing the right kinds.
Exactly. And your research excerpt does a great job of breaking down those different types of fat and their impact on cholesterol.
All right, let's get into it. Where do we start?
Well, let's talk about the so-called bad fats first. Those are the ones that can raise our LDL cholesterol levels. We're talking about saturated and trans fats.
Saturated and trans fats. Those sound familiar. What kinds of foods are they typically found in?
Saturated fat is often found in animal products like fatty cuts of meat, full-fat dairy, and butter. And trans fats are mostly found in processed foods and fried foods.
Okay, so things like Cookies, pastries, fried chicken. Those are the usual suspects.
You got it. And also things like packaged snacks, some margarine, and even some commercially baked goods. It's worth checking labels because these fats can sneak in where you least expect them.
So it's about being mindful of those hidden fats and making healthier choices when we can. But I'm guessing there are also good fats out there.
Absolutely. Unsaturated fats are actually beneficial for our heart health. There are two main types: monounsaturated and polyunsaturated.
Okay, so two types of good fats to remember. What kinds of foods contain these unsaturated fats?
Well, olive oil is a great source of monounsaturated fat. Avocados, nuts, and seeds are also packed with those healthy fats. And then for polyunsaturated fats, we've got things like fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts.
Hold on, fatty fish. I thought fish was supposed to be healthy.
It is. The fats in fish, like salmon, mackerel, and tuna, are actually omega-3 fatty acids, and those are super beneficial for our heart health.
Gotcha. So it's all about swapping out the bad fats for the good ones. Instead of reaching for a bag of chips, grab a handful of almonds. Instead of cooking with butter, use olive oil.
Exactly. Those small swaps can make a big difference in the long run. And remember, it's not about deprivation. It's about making healthy choices that you enjoy and can stick with.
It's about finding that balance, right? Okay, we've covered the fats. What other dietary strategies can we use to manage cholesterol?
Well, your research actually talks about the importance of fiber, specifically soluble fiber, which is found in foods like oats, beans, lentils, and fruits like apples and pears.
Fiber, huh? I know it's good for digestion, but what's the connection to cholesterol?
Soluble fiber acts like a sponge in our digestive system, binding to cholesterol and helping remove it from the body before it gets absorbed into the bloodstream.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So eating more fiber not only keeps us feeling full and regular, but also helps lower our cholesterol.
Precisely. It's a win-win situation. And your research even mentions a specific type of fiber called beta-glucan, which is found in oats. That one has been shown to be especially effective in lowering LDL cholesterol.
Interesting. So starting the day with a bowl of oatmeal could be a strategic move for cholesterol management.
Definitely a good option. And don't forget about those other fiber-rich foods throughout the day: beans in your salad, lentils in your soup, or an apple with peanut butter for a snack.
Okay, we've got our healthy fats. We're loading up on fiber. Anything else we should be thinking about?
Actually, your research mentions something called plant stanols and sterols.
Plant stanols and sterols. Those are new ones. What are they and how do they fit into the picture?
They're naturally occurring compounds found in some plants, and they can actually help block the absorption of cholesterol in our gut.
Wow, so they basically prevent some of that cholesterol from even entering our bloodstream in the first place.
Exactly. And you can actually find plant stanols and sterols added to some foods now, like yogurt, orange juice, and some margarine brands.
Okay, so it's like an extra layer of defense.
Huh.
I'm loving these strategies. So much of this is about making those small, consistent choices, right?
Absolutely. It's not about overhauling your entire diet overnight. It's about incorporating those healthy swaps and making gradual changes that you can stick with long term.
It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground with diet,
Mm.
but I know exercise is also important for heart health.
Mm-hmm.
How does that tie into managing cholesterol?
Exercise is fantastic for boosting HDL cholesterol. That's the good kind we want more of.
So it's like exercise helps our bodies clean up crew, get rid of that excess cholesterol.
Exactly. And you don't need to be running marathons to reap the benefits. Even moderate activity, like brisk walking, swimming, or dancing, can make a difference.
That's good news for those of us who aren't gym rats. What about strength training? Does that play a role?
While cardio is the star player when it comes to HDL, strength training does have its benefits. It can help improve body composition and increase muscle mass, which can indirectly help with cholesterol levels.
So it's all about finding a balance of activities you enjoy and can stick with consistently.
Exactly. The key is to move your body in ways that feel good and sustainable for you. And along those lines, weight management also plays a role in cholesterol health.
Right, I was just thinking about that. I know carrying extra weight can impact our heart health in general, but how does it specifically affect cholesterol?
Well, excess weight, especially around the midsection, can lead to higher LDL cholesterol and lower HDL cholesterol.
So it's not just about fitting into our clothes, it's about supporting healthy cholesterol levels.
Exactly. And even a small amount of weight loss, if you're carrying extra weight, can make a noticeable difference in your cholesterol numbers.
It's amazing how these lifestyle factors are all interconnected. We've got diet, exercise, and weight management working together to support our heart health and cholesterol balance.
And it's empowering to know that we have so much control over those factors.
I completely agree. This has been incredibly insightful so far. We've debunked some myths, learned about healthy swaps, and discovered the power of movement and weight management. But I know there's still more to this cholesterol story. What else should we be thinking about?
Well, in the next part, we'll delve into the importance of ongoing monitoring and the role of medication in cholesterol management. So stay tuned for the final piece of our cholesterol deep dive.
All right, we're back for the final part of our cholesterol deep dive. We've covered so much ground already. Really eye-opening stuff.
It is, and it's empowering to realize we have a lot more control over our cholesterol levels than we might think.
Right. It's not just something predetermined by genetics.
Yeah.
It's something we can actively work on.
Absolutely. And to your point about taking action, there's one more important piece of this puzzle we haven't talked about yet, and that's monitoring.
Okay, monitoring our cholesterol levels. Why is that so crucial, even if we're already making those lifestyle changes we discussed?
Well, think of it like regular checkups at the dentist. You might not feel any pain, but those visits can catch small issues before they turn into big problems.
Ah, I get it. So
Yeah.
even if we're eating well and exercising, it's still important to keep tabs on those numbers over time.
Exactly. It's about staying proactive and catching any potential red flags early on.
So how often should we be getting our cholesterol checked?
The general recommendation is every 4 to 6 years for adults, starting at age 20, if you don't have any specific risk factors.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if you DO have risk factors, like a family history of high cholesterol or maybe other health conditions? Does that change things?
You're absolutely right, it does. Those personalized recommendations are key. Your doctor will factor in your medical history, family history, lifestyle, all of that to determine how often you should be getting checked.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach to monitoring.
Nope, not at all. And speaking of personalized approaches, that brings us to another essential aspect, creating a personalized plan for managing cholesterol effectively.
All right, personalized plans. Lay it on me. This is where we get beyond the generic advice, right?
Exactly. This is about going deeper, considering all the unique things about you. It's not just about eating less fat or exercising more. It's about finding what works best for your specific situation.
So it's about working with your doctor, not just following a cookie-cutter plan.
Precisely. It's a collaborative effort. You discuss your concerns, they assess your risk factors, and together you develop a roadmap tailored to your needs.
I like that. A roadmap, not just a random set of rules. So what might that roadmap include?
Well, for starters, it might have specific dietary recommendations, like we talked about, maybe incorporating more of those heart-healthy swaps, choosing the right fats.
Right, instead of just saying eat less fat, it's about choosing olive oil over butter, snacking on almonds instead of chips, those kinds of things.
Exactly. And it might also include an exercise plan that fits your lifestyle and fitness level. Maybe it's incorporating more walking into your day or finding a workout buddy to keep you motivated.
It's about finding what you'll actually stick with, not just what sounds good in theory.
I couldn't agree more. And that's where having ongoing support comes in. It's one thing to create a plan, but staying motivated and actually following through, that can be tough.
Oh, tell me about it. Life gets in the way, we get busy, those cravings hit.
Exactly. And that's why having a support system is so important. Your doctor is a great resource, of course. They can answer questions and help you stay on track. But support can also come from loved ones, friends, or even online communities.
I'm a big believer in that. Having people in your corner makes a huge difference. Okay, so we've got those lifestyle changes, the monitoring, the support system. Anything else we need to consider when it comes to cholesterol management?
Well, there's one more tool in the toolbox that we should talk about, and that's medication.
Medication. I was wondering when that might come up. Is that something everyone with high cholesterol needs?
Not necessarily. Medication is typically recommended when lifestyle changes alone aren't enough to get those cholesterol numbers down to a healthy range, or if someone has a very high risk of heart disease based on other factors.
So it's not always the first line of defense, but it's an option to consider.
Exactly. The decision to start medication and which type to use is a very personalized one. Your doctor will consider your unique situation, any potential side effects, and of course your preferences.
It all comes back to that personalized approach, finding what works best for you.
Absolutely. And remember, managing cholesterol is not a one-time fix. It's about making those healthy choices day after day and working with your doctor to keep things in check.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I feel I've learned so much, and more importantly, I feel empowered to take control of my own heart health.
I'm so glad to hear that. Knowledge is power, as they say. And when it comes to something as important as our heart health, well, that knowledge can be life-changing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder. What's one small but meaningful step you can take today to move closer to a healthier cholesterol level and a healthier you?
It's a great question to reflect on. Maybe it's taking a walk during your lunch break, swapping that sugary drink for a glass of water, or adding an extra serving of veggies to your dinner.
It's those small steps, those consistent choices that make all the difference. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your doctor, your loved ones, and even those online communities are there to support you every step of the way. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep those hearts healthy. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration into the world of health and wellness.
You've been listening to the Learning Podcast, a production of metaNESTA. Remember, learning is a journey. One step, one insight, one skill at a time. We'll see you next time. Keep learning, stay curious, and as always, be awesome.